Yo, what's up? We're the Harlem Globetrotters, and you're watching Vegas Time. Who you with? Who you are? You with my brother and my sisters.
Hey now, one and all, what do you say we host a TV show 2 minutes ago or so before the close of the markets today? And man, oh man, what a day we got. The final tail of the tape expected to be the S&P 500 in positive territory by about 0.8%. Today's session here on Wall Street in the green, despite the last 4 sessions being in the red. Discretionary tech utilities, those are your big winners out of the S&P 500, with losses to the downside being led by energy, real estate, and staples. Very much a risk-on day here on Wall Street today. That and so much more sets the stage for the show. And welcome to the show. You're watching the live broadcast. This is Taking Stock. I'm your host, JD Durkin. Mere moments away, my friends, from the ringing of the truly iconic closing bell here at the New York Stock Exchange. We've been doing it every day for quite a long time. What's one day more? The team from the Bowery Mission here at the New York Stock Exchange is set to do the honors, and the great one and only Jay Woods of Freedom Capital Markets and a CNBC contributor. Jay's on deck. We'll talk about Micron, price action, the Fed, what to expect for 2026, and so much more. Volatility a bit in retreat here on the day, as are yields after that softer than expected CPI print, which we'll talk about here in just a bit. Time now for the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange on this Thursday, December 18th. Bowery Mission here at the NYSE now to do the honors. And there you have it. After 4 straight days of losses, the tail of the tape, one in positive territory for the major market indexes. The S&P 500 will finish up about 0.8. The Dow up 0.1. The NYSE Composite Index up about 0.25%. And the small caps getting in on the action, Jay Woods. The Russell 2000 up 0.6%. The great Jay Woods himself joins us now to kick off the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey, always good to be here, especially on an update.
We had 4 down days before this update. What have you seen more broadly for price action that stands out to you today?
What do I see? I see a lot of relief in this rally. We got some economic data in the CPI that kind of surprised us. And it was a good surprise, but a surprise that, like, let's look at this data, how it came out, and, what did the shutdown do to affect the CPI. But we were expecting 3.0%, we got 2.7%, which shows that inflation is cooling. But what we want to see is a trend. So we want one more print of a full month of real data to, before we make the decision of whether or not that Fed will make a cut in January. That was the one thing that surprised me. If you look at the odds of a rate cut between yesterday and today for that January meeting, they're relatively the same. When inflation ticks down 0.3%, and we're concerned about it, it should be all systems go for a rate cut. No one really budged. So we've got some time before we can get confident that the Fed is going to cut in January.
I learned from you the trend is your friend, but the trend's been hard to discern given how long the federal government shutdown was. We finally have some economic data here for the Fed, the new look Fed in 2026, which will include a handful of new names. Neil
4 new
Pastori
voters
comes to mind, a handful of others. What does this do in terms of Fed consideration to stay data dependent for the January meeting?
Well, I think independence of the Fed is the most important thing. I think it's going to be stressed in Powell's 3 final meetings. The next 3 meetings, he's going to be looking about his legacy, and that legacy is things went pretty well while he was in charge. We did have that soft landing or possibly no landing. History will judge, but we avoided a major recession.
As the kids like to say, we're so back. Welcome back to the show. You're watching Taking Stock, still live here with the great Jay Woods on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
I just kept talking the whole time we were off.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
Well, this is, but honestly, even when the cameras aren't rolling, this is the same stuff you and I talk about
what we do.
as if we're just having a beer anyway, and that's how we roll here.
Which we will do after this taping.
We certainly
that's,
will later on today.
Yes.
Talk to me about a few stocks that are at the top of your radar as we turn the page into 2026.
Well, today it's about Micron. Not on top of radar for 2026, but it's following a trend. Now, Micron gapped up on an amazing quarter, one of their best ever. They are crushing it fundamentally. It gapped up, but it did not make a new high. Let's see how it goes over the next few days. If it can continue that upward trajectory, watch 264.75. That is the high. We saw this with Broadcom, symbol AVGO, and NVIDIA, both making new highs before their earnings, great earnings, and they failed to go higher. We're seeing consolidation in the semiconductor space. That is part of the rotational theme going into 2026, where these stocks that are crushing in all metrics are losing momentum. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is puzzling when I own these stocks and they're doing great, yet they didn't make new highs. So watch rotation. And speaking of that rotation, we have earnings any second now from FedEx. Federal Express up 33% in the last 6 months, about to make new highs. If it can do so, watch the transportation average. That broke out as well. So when we talk about rotation, semis and tech lagging, transports of all sectors starting to look good, and then staples starting to catch some bids. We had General Mills, the oft forgot General Mills, the Golden Grams tricks, and of course Cheerios maker. They broke a big downtrend, and I like looking for bottoms in charts. This is not the most exciting thing in the world, but General Mills, some of the staples starting to turn, which tells me investors are broadening out their portfolio, but they're doing it with safer stocks. And then finally, I'll give you one stock that's not safe, pick for next year, Tesla. Elon Musk is back. Remember he was in Washington for a while?
I remember this whole thing.
It got a little turmoil, little problems. Well, he is finally focused on what? His pay package, which is all incentive-laden, and 2, robotics, SpaceX. So I think 2026 could be the year of Musk. And watch Tesla. It broke out not just on a yearly time frame, on a 5-year time frame. It hasn't gone anywhere in 5 years. It's starting to move. That momentum should lead it, and it should be the leader of the Mag 7, that and Alphabet, next year, while the others may be more of a lag 7.
Possible SpaceX IPO.
Yeah,
that would only be his
how
second
great would that
public.
look right here?
Yeah, we'll take a look. Jay Woods, thank you for sticking with us today, and thank you for kicking off the broadcast.
You got it.
Great to have you.
Always a pleasure, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, one and all. Why am I saying it? You'll see me before the new year. Talk to you soon. I'll see you later. Josh, will grab your microphone. Howie, you and I are going to head for a walk. We're going to head this way. Excuse me. We'll bring you the latest event contract odds from our friends over at Polymarket, as Polymarket participants are trying to figure out who will be, Josh, you'll love this one, the NFL MVP. These odds are changing by the day. Matthew Stafford, that Matthew Stafford, 71% odds the Ram gunslinger will take the honors. Drake May of the New England Patriots, who saw that coming, 13% odds. Josh Allen, 13% chance of running repeat back-to-back MVP. Jonathan Taylor, 2%. Sam Darnold, 2%. By the way, for Jonathan Taylor, the last running back to win NFL MVP, got to go all the way back to 2012, Adrian Peterson. Doesn't frequently go to a non-quarterback, but Jonathan Taylor is the reason I am still alive in my fantasy football playoffs. Maybe the Indianapolis Colt running back can take home the honors. Before we toss the break, we'll take a quick look at 2 NYSE notables here on the day. Williams-Sonoma did give back some of its opening gains. The stock had been up as much of about 5.5% on the day. Still having a nice session, finishing up 2%. The company just announced a quarterly cash dividend of 66 cents a share of common stock. WSM stock now up about 2 to 3% since the start of the year. And finally, Howie will swing around this way and take a look at Reddit, one of our favorite IPOs of 2024 here at the New York Stock Exchange. Been public for just over a year and a half. Analysts at RBC Capital raising their price target on Reddit to $250 earlier this week. The company reporting strong user growth, ad revenue increases as well. It is very volatile. We've had 60 sessions in the last 52 weeks where this stock has moved 5% up or 5% down. Shares, though, they're crushing it, up 45% from the start of 2025. John Serafina is the CEO of Hawkeye 360. He joined the New York Stock Exchange's very own Kristen Scholler right here on the trading floor at the FinTech booth earlier today for a very exciting and a very special announcement. Take a look.
Defense tech company Hawkeye 360 has announced a strategic acquisition and fresh funding. Joining me now with more is Hawkeye 360 CEO John Serafini. John, welcome.
Thank you, Kristen.
Congratulations on this news.
Thank you.
How is this going to advance your mission at Hawkeye 360?
Yeah. So the Hawkeye acquisition of ISA is a very material deal for Hawkeye. It's not only accretive from a financial perspective, significantly so, but they bring with them a significant amount of new technology that's very helpful to our processing capabilities, as well as over 150 cleared employees to help us with our work around the world.
And how will you use this fresh funding?
So we raised $150 million of Series E capital in a combination of debt and equity, and that capital will be used in part to finance the acquisition as well as for working capital for the company.
What is your guiding star in making sure that the customer is serviced in your business?
Sure. So we're a defense technology company. We produce signals intelligence. The vast majority of our work is supporting defense, intelligence, and national security actors around the globe. Roughly 50% for the US government and 50% for international allies. But ultimately, our most important thing is making sure that that warfighter and the intelligence analyst and the national security decision maker has access to the most critical technologies to support their decision making, and that's our lodestar.
Now, for viewers who might not be familiar with Hawkeye 360 and they're learning about it for the first time, what more do they need to know about your business?
So we're signals intelligence, which means that we operate a constellation of small spacecraft, roughly 30 satellites up in space. They fly in clusters of 3, one satellite in front, one in back, and then a third that oscillates in a cross-track back and forth. That unique architecture allows us to detect signals that are being emitted from the face of the Earth or in the air or in space, and to then geolocate those signals down to a certain amount of geolocation accuracy and extract intelligence, classify the emitters and learn about them, and correlate that into actionable intelligence products for our customers.
Why is signals intelligence so critical to modern military operations?
Modern military operations need to know about change, whether that's on the battlefield or it's in the border, or it's in the aerial domain, or even a maritime environment where you're tracking vessels and understanding where those vessels are. We can identify emitters, we can classify them, we can track them, and we can extract intelligence about those emitters and what they're doing.
What is the role that artificial intelligence is playing in your company's ability to make sense of all this data?
It's immensely important for us. We generate an enormous amount of RF data with our 30+ satellites on orbit. We need to be able to analyze and process and geolocate and convert that into actionable intelligence. AI plays a big role in being able to do unique signal identification, as well as analyzing patterns of life, such that we can better understand these emitters and what they're doing.
Anything more our viewers should know?
Now, we're exceptionally proud and excited to acquire ISA, and we look forward to welcoming their new employees to our Hawkeye family.
John Serafini, CEO of Hawkeye 360, joining me here on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
Welcome back to the show. You're watching Taking Stock live from the iconic trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Time for a few fintech, crypto, and artificial intelligence headlines for your Thursday. First up, the crypto majors all down in negative territory for the day. Bitcoin and ETH down about 1%. Solana down 3.6%. Bitcoin back to an 85 handle. That's kind of been the storyline. A lot of sideways price action there the last few days. All this comes as new blockchain data shows longtime Bitcoin holders are cashing out at one of the fastest paces seen in years, adding certainly near-term pressure to crypto markets. And in the world of regulatory news, the SEC laying out new guidance for broker-dealers, saying firms must maintain direct control of crypto private keys, including for tokenized assets. Our next guest for the show joins us here at the FinTech TV studios. This is Stacey Warden. She is the CEO of Algorand Foundation, making her debut on Taking Stock, if I'm not mistaken.
Thanks, JD. I'm so happy to be here.
It's really good to have you. Can you first give us a bit of an introduction to your work at Algorand for anyone a bit unfamiliar, and what would you say are among your top priorities these days?
Sure. Algorand is a layer 1 blockchain. It's an OG blockchain. It's been around for a long time, and it's very focused on financial empowerment. And financial empowerment means a couple of different things. First, lightning fast payments. So not like you and I can make quick Venmo payments to each other, but like on rails that you can send anything, anywhere, instantly, right? Like, for example, Hisab Pay does 50,000 humanitarian payments into Afghanistan on Algorand rails. It also means, and it also means like availing yourself of financial products like savings products, investment products, without having to use a bank, right? This is what crypto is all about. It also means having access to the same kinds of things that rich people can do, but to do it at a lower price point. So there's a company called Lofty AI. They let you buy into rental income. So you can buy into real estate, get rental income for as little as $50, right? And this also happens on Algorand Rails. So, some of these rental properties have 200 investors in one rental property. So you and I, we could never have a big rental income portfolio before, but now because of crypto and tokenization and good rails, so this is the kind of thing that Algorand is really focused on.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations on all the success. Can I get your perspective on the recent crypto volatility? This is the part of the show we've been covering it. Yeah. Obviously, we're well off those Bitcoin highs of 126 a couple months ago. We're back to the 85,000 level. What do you make of the price action?
Super annoying.
Yeah, that's correct.
That is my main takeaway. I sometimes feel like Adam Smith's invisible hand is holding a whip, and it moves a little bit, and then crypto just is at the tail of that whip, and it just gets rafted around, And crypto is really, it's a high beta macro asset. And so that means it has exposure to big geopolitical events, right? I mean, the biggest trigger for us recently was on October 10th, and when President Trump said he was going to impose 100% tariffs on Chinese goods, right? Think about all the things that you buy from China. Think about the price of those things doubling, right? And so the macro market got scared. Crypto sold off a lot on the 10th. There was some market structure things there where delta neutral hedging market makers kind of couldn't execute on their trades. And so that took away some liquidity out of the market too. So all of these combinations. And then I will tell you, the AI type investor and the crypto type investor, this forward thinking tech innovative investor, they're kind of the same investor, right? So if AI is selling off, crypto selling off, crypto selling off, AI is selling off, it's all a bit, it seems a bit correlated.
How are you viewing the world of quantum investing relative to crypto? Is there a quantum threat to the crypto majors?
Yeah, so there's been some news out about that recently that's got the crypto ecosystem a bit shook up. So first of all, the idea that quantum is here, like they figured it out, but they just can't make it cold enough. So it's turned from a cryptography problem to an engineering problem. And some big voices in cryptography have said it's not 25 to 30 years away, it's like 5 to 10 years away. So crypto is very exercised around that, I would say. The most important thing, though, there is to make sure that your ledger is quantum secure, that the history of the transactions on your chain are quantum secure, right? And so we were founded at Algorand by one of the world's most famous cryptographers, which is not to say really that cryptographers are ever famous.
Sure.
We were founded by the Taylor Swift of cryptographers. No. And so for 5 years now, we have had the history of Algorand be quantum secure. And so this is something that's really set us apart. And it's very important in crypto because you can't have somebody going in and messing with the order of the transactions.
Sure.
You take it out of my column, like I had 10 Bitcoin, I put it into your column, now you have 10 Bitcoin. I can't do anything about that, right? So this is the most important thing. But moving forward, we have to also make sure that wallets are quantum secure and other technical details are also quantum secure.
Amazing. Well, thank you for being here. Please come back anytime because
Okay.
I feel like I learned so much in the last few minutes and I need you to continue explaining this stuff
I'm here
to me,
for you
guys.
anytime you want it.
Stacey Warden, CEO of Algorand Foundation. Thanks a lot.
Thanks and Merry Christmas.
You as well. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Folks, don't go anywhere. Much more Taking Stock coming up after this. Let's do it. Welcome back to the show. You're watching Taking Stock live from the New York Stock Exchange. And our next guest is the founder and CEO of Zen. Jordan Lazarus joins us now down here on the trading floor. Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Bit of a personal question. Have you been to the New York Stock Exchange before?
No, but I've done 2 interviews.
No way. Okay. Well, it's great to have you, and great to have you here on the show. Talk to me about how you've built Zen from a basement to a global brand. What does it look like to scale your property here?
Yeah, so I started Zen while I was in school. I was studying finance and investments right in Manhattan. Goal was to work on Wall Street, but life had other plans. When I graduated, I went full-time on my company, Zen. We had about 3 million followers at the time. Today, we have about 45 million. We generate a couple 100 million views every single month. We work with brands like Disney, Amazon, Walmart, NASCAR, and so on, helping brands reach new audiences.
And talk to me, let's take one of those use cases if you're comfortable sharing,
Yeah.
like a Disney or an Amazon. Talk to me about what you're actually doing on behalf of them that they feel like they can't get anywhere else, but they turn to you and the team at Zen for.
Yeah, so we manage the largest creators in gaming in games like Fortnite and Call of Duty, and these creators reach hundreds of millions of eyeballs every single month. So we essentially market their product in front of the demographics that they're looking for.
How do you go about establishing the relationships with all the key stakeholders involved, either on the gaming side or on the big corporation side that obviously you're partnering with and clearly doing quite well with?
Yeah, so we essentially are the backbone for a lot of the creators. So we open the relationships with these brands where they might not have the reach or the connection to get in front of them, and we do everything from them for them from point A to Z, essentially running their email, doing the legal, doing the negotiations. We're a one-stop shop essentially for the talent.
What are the biggest pain points that the talent and the creators are coming to you with?
So they essentially are front-facing, right? You see their content, you see everything that they produce, but the back end they need help with. So you think of a star like Jalen Brunson, right? And the New York Knicks. So he has the New York Knicks who he represents, but CAA does everything for him on the backside, right?
Mm-hmm.
From legal negotiations, opening the door for brands. That's us with a talent, but we do both sides. So we're a team. You could watch us on, the leaderboards of Fortnite and competitions, but we're also on the backside for them, running their emails, doing everything. So we're a one-stop shop doing both sides of the business.
Of course, Villanova University's own Jalen Brunson. Had to give a shout out to my alma mater there. Talk to me about finishing 5th at, I think, the Fortnite final. Did I get this right?
Yes.
What is the context I need to know here?
Yeah, so FNCS Fortnite Championship was the Globals was in Lyon, France. It was a $2.5 million competition. Wow. We placed 5th, number 1 team out of North America. And we essentially compete with these teams that have raised or are valued at tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, wow, where we haven't raised a penny, right? And we were the number 1 team out of America. Our players crushed, and we walked out with like $125,000 that weekend or so.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's wild. Did you get to go to Lyon?
So I stayed home because I had the choice, but for me to run everything, oversee everything, it was easier to be behind the computer screen than be in person.
You're a founder and CEO. Sometimes you have to make those sacrifices on behalf of the firm. If we were to peel back the layers a little bit, talk to me about the top priorities and what you feel is most on the horizon for your work at Zen for 2026.
Yeah, so the big thing for us is helping creators make gaming a full-time career. So a lot of gamers just, don't know how to monetize their audience, and that's kind of where we come in. So we open these doors and relationships with major brands, major connections, and help them monetize. So if you're a gamer, you have viewership and you need help, that's kind of where we come in.
That's awesome. Jordan Lazarus is the founder and CEO of Zen. Dude, you've crushed the cover off the ball, man. Clearly, you and your firm, congratulations on all the success.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for joining us. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
Folks, don't go anywhere. Much more Taking Stock is coming up, and after the break, we'll bring you the latest from Scarlett Sieber at Money 2020. More Taking Stock after this.
Welcome back. I'm Scarlett Sieber from Money 2020, and this is Jargon Translator, where we break down those finance buzzwords you see on a crowded subway but might not actually know what they mean. Today's term, CBDC, sounds like a wellness trend, but it's actually the future of money. Central bank digital currency. Here's the tea, people. Government saw crypto blowing up and said, wait, people are trading Dogecoin while we're still printing paper? Not on our watch. Enter CBDCs, digital versions of your country's currency backed by the central bank. Think of it like this. If Bitcoin is the rebellious teenager, and we all know who those people are, CBDC is the straight A student with government approval. It's not decentralized like crypto, it's centralized, regulated, and basically the digital twin of your dollar, euro, or yen. Why does this matter? Two big reasons. Speed. CBDCs make payments faster than your ex ghosting you. No waiting days for transfers, instant settlements. And secondly, control. Governments can track transactions in real time. Great for fighting fraud, but also, hello, privacy debates. So next time you hear about CBDCs, remember, it's not Bitcoin, it's not Venmo, it's your government sliding into that digital age. And that is your jargon translated. Back over to you.
Welcome back to the show. With our remaining moment or so here in the live broadcast, get you quickly updated on not only what to expect here on Wall Street tomorrow, but how about Nike here having a huge quarter, beat on revenue, reporting $12.43 billion for the quarter versus the street's expectations of 12.2, and earnings per share 53 cents versus the street's expectations of 38 cents. North American sales for Nike up 9% for the quarter. Final scorecard here on Wall Street on this Friday Eve. The S&P 500 up 0.8%. The Dow up about 0.1 or so, with the small caps in on the fun up 0.6 on the day. Consumer sentiment final reading will cross the tape tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We will bring you on the show tomorrow everything you need to know out of that particular print. And New York Fed President John Williams, remember, he's the one who really kind of changed the narrative, changed the tide a couple weeks ago about the interest rate cut. He is set to speak late morning as well. We will bring you on the broadcast tomorrow anything you may have missed from the commentary from Mr. Williams. We also here at the New York Stock Exchange have options expiration and a huge rebalance. We usually see a huge flow of volume, oftentimes volatility associated. We get that the third Friday of every month. We will be here at the NYSE once again on behalf of the entire Taking Stock team. Have a great night, and we will see you again tomorrow.